What's up, people? Welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestle Update. I am your host, Dylan Fox. Thank you for listening, tuning in after the holidays. A belated Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully you have a Happy New Year. Of course, joining me, as we promised on the last episode, I know you heard it. I know you trusted us. I knew you knew we were telling the truth. Nello de Angelis, belated Merry Christmas to you as well.
Hey, Merry Christmas, brother. Good to be back. I am excited to chat it up.
That's right. And of course, on this show, it's a special show. I'm very happy we're getting to do it. We are going to be talking about Dynamite. Literally, it ended just a little while ago, and we are going to talk about everything that happened. Most importantly, the Continental Classic finals have been set. We know who it's going to be. We know who is going to make it. We know who predicted it correctly at the start of the tournament. And we will talk about all of that as well as we will preview the World's End cards. And we will go through it and how things have built up, because I think we have a lot to say about a very particular angle that happened on this Dynamite show we will talk about. But first things first. The Gold League final, the triple threat, and we're not happy with the decision to make this a triple threat so fast on the last episode when we talked about what happened. But we still got it anyway. Jay White, Swerve Strickland, and Jon Moxley. Now, this was both of the matches. I have to say, from a wrestling standpoint, on this episode of Dynamite, up and down, because I thought the women's match was really strong too, much better than I thought it would be. Actually, I think the wrestling on the show was so damn good, up and down, and it started with this match. What did you think of the triple threat here? Because we were critics of it last episode. How do you think it played out in execution?
Dude, the amount of false finishes that got me in this, and in a triple threat, I think one of the biggest things that can sort of expose like the sort of like general weaknesses that can come with a triple threat are the pin breakups, right? And I think sometimes too that has to do with the cameras. If you can see the guy running in, you're not going to have that tension. But at least from watching at home, like the first one that comes to mind is Mox's curb stomp on Swerve breaking up the pin after Jay's Blade Runner. Like, dude, just so many great false finishes, nonstop action. I like how they all brawled outside at first. We talked about Jay's performance this past weekend throughout the tournament, and I thought that this was definitely his best performance in the entire tournament. He played his role well. Like, I thought that they made it look like he took some really big moves and had some really impactful kickouts. There was a couple, like I said, the Blade Runner with him, and then so I thought he still didn't look too bad in defeat either. Overall, just a really, really solid triple threat. Whenever I think of triple threats, the one that always comes back to my mind, and do you like this one, is Lesnar, Cena, Rollins from the Rumble.
Oh yeah, that was a very memorable match. Yeah, that was really good and well done.
So that, because I think about okay, a televised triple threat is going to be very different than like a U.S. independent triple threat, right? So, which is to say, just flips and stuff usually. But I thought that this was really up to that standard of the Royal Rumble triple threat, which to me is, like I said, it's kind of like that comparison that I have in my head. When it hits that level of greatness, I'm like, damn, dude, this reminds me of that. So yeah, I thought this was great. As much as I wasn't excited for the triple threat, and it's still, I do think it was weird to do is the tournament semifinal. Like, this absolutely delivered, and it was everything that a block final should be.
And they did let Jay. A lot of this match was him going outside and going for the chairs and utilizing them to the advantage, which they explained right away that there was not going to be any disqualifications in this match or anything like that. And I think it helped make that stuff work so much better than it did last week when he tried to use the chair and just made the referee look like a complete idiot. Here, it was mostly logical. Like, they explained there wouldn't be a DQ. This was a fight to the finish. And that let him play more of his heelish character, going for the chairs and everything. Moxley was great as this, like, really rugged and rough character, even though he's a babyface. There was the part at the end where he was biting his fingers afterwards. I thought that was a great spot for Moxley. And Swerve, just a complete dynamo in the ring. So fun to watch. Such a unique style, the way he moves around the ring. Yes, he is a high-speed wrestler, like a high-flying type of guy, but he's able to carry himself in such a unique way that I always appreciate what he brings to the table. This was almost an all-action match, too. It totally improved Jay White's game from the singles matches he had. Having the chaotic nature of this match really helped cut down on a lot of the downtime and the unimpressive stuff that he was doing in the earlier matches. We got to the meat of things. He really showed out and did a great job. So shout out to Jay White. After our criticism of him last week, he delivered in the semifinal. The other two we know are great already, and they had a really strong match here. So good stuff. Moxley got the win with the Death Rider on Jay. And this was 23 minutes, 10 seconds, it's listed as. So good stuff there. And I like the promo even afterwards. They were really in rush mode for this World's End show, too, on this show, where they were trying to build up multiple matches, like the Swerve and Keith Lee match. It was basically like, oh, I heard him call me out, so we got to fight now. And then they were like, hey, he left a contract for you to sign. And he was like, I hope he shows up on Saturday. So they were really in rush mode trying to make this work with the different matches and stuff here. That was one. The second semifinal match.
Real quick, I was just going to say, I really liked that. I liked how, like, the highlight people, right? A lot of the times you can lose, like, it's like, oh, they had a great performance and now they're off TV for 3 months. So I was pretty happy with Andrade and sort of having those big singles matches on World's End, because I'm like, dude, we were talking this past week and like, oh yeah, you could run the Keith Lee feud for a couple months, and it's like, dude, we're getting right through it. This means that Swerve is, and again, this is me just totally fantasy booking, but freed up after this for a world title shot, right?
Yep.
So that's definitely my hope. I like that they're already moving to Andrade versus Miro. I hope they can absolutely end this god-awful thing that Andrade's been unfortunately plugged into.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I'm grateful that there seems to be a lot of focus on the follow-up right now for the the more primary Continental Classic players.
I agree completely. That's something we always have to be on the lookout for in AEW, where somebody could go in, have big performances, look great, and then disappear, and we don't see them again when we want to. And it looks like they're doing a better job of honing in. I think this Continental Classic has really impressed everybody. It's gotten the respect from Tony Khan and everybody booking the show that, hey, we need to not let it be like it was with the other times. This tournament was special. We need to follow up with these guys because a lot of people showed out and deserve that kind of spotlight. And I'm happy to see them follow through with that for sure. So totally agree with you on that one. And as far as the Blue League block, it came down to Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. And I thought this was a hell of a match, to be honest with you, as you would expect, as I think we all knew it would be, pretty much. Now, when you see this match, they told the story. They had a great video of, like, Bryan saying how much Kingston's a bum, and that caught on with the fans because a lot of the fans were behind Eddie in the match, but then it would be like, let's go, Eddie. He's a bum.
He's a bum. Yeah. Dude, that's when you've made it, when both when the opposing chants are purely about you.
Yeah. And against Bryan Danielson as your opponent.
Yeah.
So this was a hell of a match. And there was so much hard-hitting stuff. Kingston's chops were just phenomenal. I was watching it with Ken, my great-grandpa, and he was just psyched beyond belief about this match. When he hit him with the back fist at the end, he went, ooh, like when that happened. It was a great moment. They were having hard-hitting stuff back and forth. Bryan looked like he had it. He hit the Busaiku knee at one point, was kicking him around, taunting him. Hit the stomps to the head, was so violent. This is all a straightforward type of match, kind of the opposite of the earlier match, too. I liked how both semifinals were different in execution, where one was so chaotic in nature with so much stuff going on and the chairs and all that. This match was really, two hard-hitting guys doing a match until one guy couldn't make it anymore. They had the spot where they teased Eddie was knocked out after the stomps, and he was laying there, and Brian stood back looking at him, and then suddenly he just raised his hand to give him the middle finger there. And then in the end, though, Eddie hit him with the back fist, as I said. Ken went crazy watching it. Hit him with the powerbomb, the Kawada-style powerbomb, stacked him up, got the win. This was another great match. Again, over 20 minutes for this. They gave both matches great time. We mentioned before how we really wanted this to be a lengthy match between the two, and they delivered. It wasn't quite any kind of draw or anything like that, but still, they got the win there, and I thought it was a great match. What about you?
Amazing. Again, I thought this was the better of the block finals, but at that point, you're comparing 4-star plus matches to each other, which is hey, we won regardless. This felt like the sort of Omega Naito semifinal, right? This is what the C2 felt like to me, mostly because this was a singles as well. But dude, I love pro wrestling, honestly. We have Bryan Danielson still on an absolute tear, Eddie Kingston being set up to win a Triple Crown in New York, which is a very crazy sentence to say. And this, I think Eddie's whole journey throughout the C2 has been sort of predictable from the beginning, right? Especially after he lost the first couple, I think you would talk, okay, well now he's got to go for win them all. And I don't know. I still think that even though it was predictable, it was still very powerful. And that's great storytelling, to see Eddie's journey get here, arrive at this point, we all thought the Ring of Honor title one was the big one, but this is so much larger. And then do you want to talk about the promo that followed?
Yeah, absolutely. Moxley came down afterwards for the promo. Brian was still in the ring, and Mox checked on Brian while he was down, and then Eddie finally turns around oh, here you are. And Mox, he cuts a great promo where he's on there. He says, all I've ever asked of you, every time I stuck my neck out for you, every time I put my ass on the line for you, no matter what we did, fighting together, fighting against each other, all I ever asked was for 100% your best you got. And he was saying, hey, for a guy who thinks the whole world is against you, for all this chip on your shoulder you have, it seems like you have a lot of people here that love you. And everyone loves Eddie Kingston. Everyone at World's End is going to love him. But they don't even care if you win or lose, but they deserve your 100%. And then he said, the problem is I know you better than you know yourself. I know you can't beat me, and you know you can't beat me, so you've already lost, already given up, already making excuses. And a couple of years ago, back then, I gave you your opportunity, and I let you off the hook. This time, you won't get any more favors. And if you want to be champ, be the Triple Crown champ like your heroes, you'll have to earn every inch. And he starts to continue, but Eddie grabs the mic and says, no, you've talked enough. And he says, come on, dog, don't treat me like your young boy bitch, Yuta. Shots fired at Yuta. Why is Yuta catching a straight right now? I didn't like that part overall. But he was like, I'm actually your senpai. I started before you. I'm the one who let you breathe in this business. And he's like, you're right, though. I hate myself more than anybody else does. But on Saturday, the king of the bums is coming, and he's going to push you. And you told me one time when I wanted to quit this place, I wanted to leave AEW. You are the one who said I can't do that because AEW needs people like him around. And if that's what you want, I'm going to give it all I've got. And you better show your fighting spirit because I'm going to show mine. I'm going to bust you up, and I'm going to enjoy it. That's my outline And then they played his music afterwards.
That
But
was
yeah,
a
the
great
promo was
recap.
yeah,
Thank
look at
you
how
for
much
the
I
performances.
think about how much of that I remembered as well.
You didn't write that down? That was just off memory?
Yeah.
Wow. Step
Hey,
aside, podcasters. Let's go.
let's remember, I've cut a promo or two in my time, to be honest. So, but yeah, they were great though. They both delivered it even better than I did. Trying to remember it the best I could there. But yeah, I thought they were great. Mox was perfect in his delivery, in my opinion, where they've captured the essence of their relationship so good. Like, even if you had not known anything about their backstory and all the history they had, this is another thing. I said it before in the tournament. I love how throughout this tournament, they've let things speak for itself while also telling stories at the same time without hitting you over the head with it. If you had never seen any of their past or knew anything about their relationship, watching this one promo, it told you everything you need to know about them. The body language, their tone of voice, the things they had to say. You know these guys are friends deep down and allies and all of that. But they also have a professional rivalry with each other that they need to beat the other. They need to be the one that wins over the other. And especially with the titles on the line, that means so much. I love how Moxley mentioned, oh, you want to be the Triple Crown champ like your heroes. Obviously talking about the All Japan and that part of him and his character. And Kingston coming in saying he's the king of the bums. He hates himself and all that. That completely tells the story of his kind of emotional street tough guy gimmick as well. I thought it was totally, they hit every single note they needed to hit in this one couple of minute promo segment that they had. And I thought it was basically a great way to bridge to their final on Saturday.
It's incredible because, like, this is a tournament final, right? Like, they didn't need to go this fucking hard for this. Like, this already had a lot of heat, a lot of story to it, just because, again, it's this first ever C2 final Triple Crown champion. And then these two guys tap into all of their history and absolutely sell, you called this from the beginning. So congrats on that, by the way. But, like, they have always sort of been feuding, and there has been a constant story with them. And that's definitely fallen to the wayside, like post, God, I don't even remember when they last fought. Was it Anarchy or something? Like, didn't Eddie fight with the Elite or something? Like, I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, didn't he show up to back up? Yeah, because he was on the Elite side against the BCC, right? And the BCC had Takeshita and Pac.
Yes. And yeah, because Pac walked out, right? Or no.
And Takeshita both.
Pac fucked up Claudio, and then Don's like, all right, man, we're not gonna take this bump, brother. Gets Takeshita out of there. But yeah, and like that's definitely been on the back burner. And again, if there's one thing Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley can do, it's completely reignite a rivalry in one promo. This reminds me of Punk and Eddie on the pay-per-view, remember? And it's a week before
phenomenal.
The pay-per-view, and Eddie comes out and he sells the whole thing. And you look at this promo and it has the feel that this has been going on forever, because it has, and now they've brought it back to the forefront. So yeah, this was phenomenal, especially after, God, was this after the Jericho Sammy stuff?
I think it was. Don't forget they were a part of at All In. Remember, they were in the Stadium Stampede in England.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember that was more about Cassidy and Moxley in that match. But remember with the glass, Kingston was bloodied, and Penta had the red outfit in the middle of the match and all of that.
Oh my God, Penta came back out and like just hit a top of the ladder destroyer, which was fucked. Oh my God, yeah, I remember that.
And I just like how this whole tournament, they didn't hit you over the head like, Kingston and Mox, old friends. What if they met in the finals? There was really not that much buildup. They each had their own journeys that they took to get to the final. And with this promo, again, they told all the story they needed to tell. They didn't go back and say, do you remember those matches we fought earlier this year? And back 20 years ago, we did X, Y, and Z. They didn't have to tell the whole story. They told enough to let you know where they're at now without hitting you over the head with it. Like I said, I thought it was a brilliantly done promo that totally hyped me for this final. And I was already hyped. This is already the best thing in wrestling, in my opinion, in any company. I would argue this tournament lately. And I'm so excited to see who wins. This, to me, is my main event for World's End. Like, the one that I'm looking forward to most. I can't wait to see this match and to see how it all plays out, because you could make a reasonable case for either man to win as well.
And it's going to be funny because with Eddie Kingston and MJF both being like the, hometown heroes, I feel like Eddie's going to get a bigger response. I don't know. But again, dude, I feel like the majority of audiences fucking love MJF still. So maybe we are the smaller voice. But I mean, dude, this is tailor made for Eddie, man. I'm hyped as hell. You nailed it with this is the real main event. The tournament itself, I think, looking back now, I would say it absolutely met my expectations. I would say the big negative was I thought Jay White could have had a better performance. But again, like, I think a lot of Jay White's character and the way he needs to be protected sometimes is what fucks him over too. But even that said, there's an approach to do anything, right, that could be done correctly. So that's not just some safeguard or whatever. But
and for the worst guy in the tournament, we could live with that. Like, it's not like it's, a Chase Owens or something in New Japan.
we are blessed with this 3-star king. So, but yeah, like I cannot wait for this to come back. Like I said, the next thing I want to see is, I would love to see a women's round robin tournament.
Absolutely.
I think that absolutely needs to happen. And that's, again, like, you see how easy it is to book this and how well it plays on TV and how, like, the consistency and just the structure really complements the television. I think that's definitely the next step. And personally, I would love to see this. I would personally love to see the field expand next year to 10. Yeah. And I think that you could run this from, you could run this October to December. And again, like I think we talked about on this weekend as well, but, really using Rampage as a platform during tournament season for, some, if you have more people, right, and you want to do like a Jay Lethal, Mark Briscoe Rampage main event, so they can get more time, right, as well, and really have a more spotlight. I would love that stuff. So what would you like to see? What would you have changed? What are your overall thoughts on the C2?
Oh, I love the tournament. I think it was greatly enhanced by not just the wrestling itself, but a lot of the decisions they made in the storytelling. Because when you think about it, this was a very basic tournament, like how they booked it. It wasn't like there were these convoluted things specifically said to be no interferences. So you had good matchups. Even the worst matches, again, if you point to whatever the worst match of this tournament is, probably that Jay versus Jay match because of the crowd. But even that wasn't like some terrible match that we hated. It was just bad because of the crowd and because they weren't doing anything that interesting. But besides that, pretty much every match at least bottomed out and at least solid, like okay, acceptable wrestling. And then you had some matches like Claudio and Bryan, and these two matches for the semifinals that were really great. Definitely over 4 stars. A lot of guys got their own stories. A lot of guys have great things coming out of it. I think they handled the booking really, really well. Even people who normally criticize AEW online really liked the tournament and had nothing but good things to say about it. On top of it, the ratings tell the story. Every week they would increase with these tournament matches, which is fantastic news. For all the talk about Tony Khan saying put your money where your mouth is, the fans are telling you right now, they're telling you that this is what we want to see. We want to see all of this. And I totally agree with what you said. My biggest change would be hopefully to have a women's version of this tournament, because there's no reason you can't do a lot of the same things if you book it in a similar way to this tournament, compared to the way you normally book the women. If you use that strategy of how you book this, you will expand upon this women's roster and make every one of them improve their star power, if you give them a chance to. I'm 100% certain of it. The only change I would make, again, I wasn't a fan of White's. There's a lot of different people you put in, but again, for the worst person in the tournament, you can't hate on it too much at the end of the day. And he is a guy they care about a lot, so they utilized him to that sense. I think one thing I also would have changed, considering it's Brian in this tournament, I would have liked to have seen him have more first-time matches. I mentioned this on the first episode. That was my one disappointment. If they had a lot of first-time matches for him, I would have been really impressed by that. And there's a whole roster of people. Like you said, they could easily expand the field, make it an extra long tournament going forward. They have so many options they could go with. But overall, still, if you were giving a letter grade to this tournament, in my book, it's A+. Like, I think it was almost perfect. There were very minor squibbles that don't mean anything. Like, they did a great job. Hands up, hands out there for Tony Khan and AEW for that.
Yeah, and a lot of my, I would say, initial anxieties about it being this weird interference thing they named.
Yeah.
A lot of time limit draws or just indecisive, finishes. They really were just, they didn't beat around the fucking bush, It was definitive. They let people lose. And I don't think anyone is any weaker for it. Like, it goes to show that when you make it mean something, that, the losses aren't just fucking career washing pretty much. Okay. Who are a couple people you would like to see join next year?
I think that OC was somebody I think should be in for his gimmick as well. You could put Darby in there, have him, him and Brody King. If they had another match, it would be bananas. You have a lot of options, man. There's so many people you could go with. Miro, he's now going in. I know there was a lot of talk about him not doing jobs, but I think he would be a great addition to the tournament next year as well. Any one of the top flight trio or whatever they've got going on, any one of those guys as a high flyer would be fantastic. Phoenix, if he can get healthy, Pac, if he can get healthy, those guys would be great coming in. You still have a lot of guys. Takeshita was the big one for me. He would be my number one pick out of everybody that I would like to see next year. And, you have a lot of guys. Even Omega will be on the mend for that if he wants to. I know his body, if he can hold up and go through this next year, he would be a wonderful addition as well. But there's, you honestly, if they had none of the 12 guys in this tournament and they put 12 completely different guys on the roster, you could still have a great tournament. That's how deep this roster is. So you could pick so many names. But to me, Takeshita would be the main guy. Miro and Darby, I guess, would be my top three if I had to pick one. And maybe OC on there as well. So any one of those four, I think all could have been in it and been great.
Yeah. I like, too, that putting in the big names as well. I think it's given time, a lot of TV time to other stories, like when we continue to preview World's End. Abaddon and Julia Hart has had weekly television time every week. That's fucking crazy. To have that much visibility and time given to a feud with, two talents who necessarily weren't given a lot of time before, or Abaddon, who wasn't even on TV to begin with. So, Starks, Takeshita, OC. I would honestly love to see a Christian or a Copeland, one of those older heads.
Oh, yeah. That would be good, too. Yeah, Christian would be awesome in this tournament.
I think you could throw in, Roddy. You could put in the another Jay Lethal type you could do is the Matt Sydal. They're stacked with the roster, and that's why I really hope to see them, like we said, and hopefully the quality of the C2 forces the sort of, prestige and quality of the Owen Hart tournament to rise up too, because, there's every great company. Every company, if they're able to pull off like a great, I always go to the Royal Road and the Champion Carnival, right? Like those are typically very good. And I think if AEW can really make the Owen Hart Cup feel like a Royal Road as opposed to just this is who's winning it this year. Like, who won it this year? Was it Joe? I don't fucking remember.
Joe? Yeah.
I know Adam Cole.
Yeah, he won the first one.
Oh, Starks. And then he Starks won, right? And then he disrespected fucking Liger.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was a really cool angle. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Well, it shows you. Listen, if we're sitting here in June, and
Willow. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, Willow won the women's version too. But if we're sitting here in June and they screw up again and do it like they did this year with the Owen Hart tournament, then they are going to get criticized by me very heavily because the Continental Classic showed us. I still didn't like it when they did it this year, but this is proof. It's data we have to pay attention to. You cannot ignore reality. They proved that this style of tournament can work, and there's no reason the Owen Hart tournaments can't do the same at the end of the day. Clean losses are not the be-all, end-all. They will not ruin careers, I promise. Like, there's nobody on the roster.
When they mean nothing or they're booked badly, like a Jay White, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking God.
Well, it wasn't because he lost. It was just a lot of things went into that. Yeah. But
Jay White's one of the best wrestlers I've ever wrestled in the ring, and I beat him on one leg. So,
well, that wasn't even anything to talk about, thankfully. But we will get into all of that as well as we preview.
Quick pitch for you for Owen Hart Cup, making that into more of a Young Lions tournament, right? You have your Takeshita, Fletcher, Hobbs, fucking Action Andretti, the Martin brothers, right? And then make it, because that's in the summer, right? You know, whoever wins gets the Owen Hart Cup, amazing, and then you guarantee yourself a spot in the C2. I think that could be really cool. And then you sort of, you know, someone like a Garcia going into the C2 with also that, you know, heat or something like that. Just any rookie young lion guy. I would love for there to almost be that sort of division between the two things. I don't know. And like Owen, to me, like I'll always remember him as just like that, like one of the best fucking young wrestlers of his generation.
Owen Hart was my favorite wrestler, my idol in wrestling. So I have a ton of respect. I was so hyped when they did the tournament. That all went away when Adam Cole won the first one, to be honest. But still, never mind that. Owen was a legend, and like you said, the idea of making this like a rookies tournament, and also I love the idea of winning it, and that almost like ups the prestige of the Continental Classic, because now you've made just getting into the tournament an achievement in and of itself. Regardless of wins and losses, if you just get in the Continental Classic, you've done something. And I think that's a great idea. I would love to see that, and hopefully it would open, you know, they wouldn't be so stingy. They'd be more free to do that. You know, anybody under 25 is in the Owen Hart Cup, the Owen Hart Invitational. And I would like to see that. I think it's a great idea.
Hell yeah.
Let's talk about World's End here. We have a pay-per-view we're going to preview here. A lot of stuff happened, and we'll get into what we've been, and I'll try to briefly recapture how we got to where we got for the show. As I said, they kind of rushed through some matches here, but to a good degree, it's fine. The first case, the 20-man Battle Royal for a future AEW TNT title match against Christian. So 20 people. Who's getting Christian's title shot here? Who's your pick?
Christian and Adam Copeland is like if QT beat Cody when they feuded, and now he's just like, I'm having sex with my wife. I'm the cool bad guy. Like, it's sort of that energy. Dude, this thing is so ridiculous and over the top. And honestly, I'm all here for it. The Christian promo with Shayna Wayne, like I think I'm also biased towards this because Defy was my old, you know, local wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
So I've seen Nick wrestle for years now, and at every single fucking show, for anyone that goes to Defy, you always know his mom is standing right like on the corner of the stage, and she always films his matches, man. And to to see her like incorporated in this way in his career, because it really feels like, Nick and like how much his mom helped him or whatever. It's just so silly and fucking ridiculous and cool to see. Like Christian's in the ring talking about like, yeah, I had sex with Shayna Wayne, and Nick's like smiling like, yeah. Like it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, good job, bro.
Yeah, he's like, all right, man, congrats.
Yeah.
The whole shit too, where Christian's like the waitress thing, it's all so just ruthless and brutal. Again, like I think he's very good at doing the things that MJF typically attempts. I'm a huge Christian mark.
Absolutely.
I would say like, this feels like a very AEW match. I can't remember what pay-per-view it was, but God, it was the one with Cole versus Jericho, right? The no DQ or something.
Oh yeah.
And like every match on that show was so gimmicky like that. I think we talked about where it felt like an Extreme Rules thing. I love that this seems to be the only one of those types of matches for now, right?
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to do really great with it. The last DQ, like I think Christian really thrives more in gimmick matches. I think about that the Crazy Trios match he had with Jungle Boy and Jurassic Express against the Bucks and Cole, the casket match. So I'm really excited to see what they pull out. My only hope is that it goes under 20 minutes, and I'm going to call a Christian win here, just because I think that Copeland can go do other stuff, but I think Christian is really running with this TNT title right now. So what about you?
Yeah, so on Dynamite, their angle was Lexi Nair was backstage. They had Christian and Shayna Wade sitting down with each other. And I called that when she turned on Edge in their match, and Christian and Adam Copeland's match. I told you the big heat would be when they make out on camera. Like, that is the huge pop that they need at some point. They haven't done it in the ring yet, but they need to get there. I feel like, not to sound like Nick Wayne or anything, going for this, but I think that would be a great heat getting moment. Like, that's how this should end to me. Like, something happens, Copeland gets screwed over by somebody, and then he makes out with Nick Wayne's mom in the ring, as apparently Nick Wayne is very happy to see his new dad in here. But yeah, so all over the show, he was like, where the hell is Copeland at? Like, I don't have all night. And he's sitting there for like 2 hours just sitting backstage. And Lexi Nair's like, don't worry, he'll get here. We got people looking out for him. Don't worry, he'll be here. And he's like, hurry up, he's unprofessional. And then suddenly they go to, every now and then in the show, they would cut to them backstage. And then finally, Edge burst in through the door, beat the hell out of Christian. It took like 20 wrestlers to hold them back, and he chased them down the hallway. Edge looked insane, as he's known to. And Christian was like, at the end, he should be fired. Christian's awesome. At the end of the day, I agree with you. I think Christian's doing too good to take the title off of him. And like you said, to me, and this is the thing about this, why I wasn't too hype about this at first, because we've seen them wrestle so many times. They have other things to offer than wrestle each other, to me. And I think that we need to get to that story overall. I think that, as I explained it, no DQ match. There's going to be a lot of shenanigans, crazy things going down in that match. I'm sure there'll be Nick Wayne interference, Shayna Wayne interference. I want to go with
Switch. Does Kill Switch make an appearance?
That's true. Will he like defy Christian, because remember he kind of bitched him out that one time they had there. So a lot of intrigue on that end, but ultimately I agree. Christian needs to be the champion. And another thing we need to talk about too. What about the Battle Royal, the 20-man Battle Royal for the number one contender spot? Because I think that'll tell us a lot. That should be the first match on the show, according to the card. Whoever wins that could tell us if it's a babyface. I think Killswitch winning the Battle Royal would actually be an interesting swerve on it. Like, and you could be something where maybe Christian tells him, like, you have to lay down for me, and you have to do that, and they kind of make something out of that. I think that would be an interesting storyline perspective. Or if Adam Copeland won, Christian could be kind of replay what they did before, tease that they're going to do what they did before, where Lucha's, Killswitch is the champion, And then Christian is like saying he's the champion, despite Luchasaurus actually being the champion. What do you think? Who's going to win the 20-man battle royal? We don't know who's in it, but it could be anybody. Probably.
Yeah, I
That's
had
not on
no
the show.
idea. I had no idea that was even happening. I must have just completely missed that. So this is number one contender for the TNT title?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Jungle Boy.
He makes his big return, not as the devil, but going for the TNT title.
Dude, I still can't believe people were like, oh, it's definitely him. He's the devil. I'm like, in what world?
Oh God, we are going to talk about the devil, I promise, at the end of the show. But right now, we can presume. What if it's another of the Devil's Masked Men that win the battle royal, become the number one contender?
I hope that you remember that WWE photo. I think it was after the Night of Champions. It's like Zack Ryder with the U.S. title.
Oh yeah,
you got Punk, Bryan, Kofi, Seidel. I want that photo recreated with all the AEW titles, but it's just the Devil's Masked Men. That's what I hope for.
Yes, I love it.
I'll
go with Killswitch to win the battle royal.
Killswitch? Yeah, I mean, honestly, no, Jack Perry's a big old heel. Dude, I really have no clue.
Yeah, it could be anybody, honestly. Like on the roster, it's just not on the show.
I'm just trying to think of because it doesn't feel like it's going to be building towards any sort of big match or anything, most likely a TV one. So someone that maybe, you know what? Maybe it's someone that Christian could beat and then add to the patriarchy, another young guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would that be?
I have no clue. Christopher Daniels.
Daniels, he's the young
new
guy.
Gimmick. He wears hair again and stuff, and he's like,
that would be awesome. I love this idea. Genius.
Christian Daniels.
Yes, Christian Daniels. Absolutely. What if it's Curry Man?
Even better. He can be Dude Love. Like if he gets taken out and he gets stretchered out, then Curry Man comes out to help Christian.
I love it. And then you have Suicide. He could bring that gimmick back as well.
Oh my God. Yeah. Manic or whatever.
No, that was Relic. TJP's version.
Oh
yeah. Oh no, God. Relic. That was Johnny Stamboli.
Oh my God.
The FBI.
TNA.
I love it. But yeah. What about Roosh? What if he won?
Oh.
Just win the title as well. It's like, I mean, I love what Christian's doing, but if Roosh got the title, I'd be totally happy with that.
See, that's someone who doesn't have they didn't have any progression on this show, but assuming that Kingston wins, I think it's him versus Roosh next. Is the Moxley Roosh feud, hopefully.
Yeah, no,
I would love an LFI BCC. Maybe thinking of people, maybe a Daniel Garcia could be cool.
That would be a great person, and that would be great progression from him finally getting the win. He's another one that's like Killswitch, kind of on. He could face either Copeland or Christian, like either one of those. He could pull out and do good with, and it would continue his story arc as a character. So that's a good pick. All right, I'll put that in for you. I'll say Killswitch, you say Garcia. Either one could work. What about Utah versus Hook? The match we said should have happened at Final Battle for things. Now, this is an FTW rules match for the FTW championship. So Hook is defending his title here against Utah.
I'm
What's
pulling
FTW
up the
rules?
Wikipedia because I don't think okay. Cage Match does not have these matches listed, so I was just like, where are these? Okay, now I see. I'm assuming that FTW rules is just we're not wrestling pure, brother. It's a very gimmicky way of just saying this is not a pure title match. I don't know. I mean, the thing is it's Hook's hometown. It makes sense for him to win. Honestly, I think Hook could benefit maybe from a pure title run in ROH. He has a fairly technical style, but I think that it could use a lot of fine tuning, and maybe somewhere like Ring of Honor is good for him. Like if he does wind up staying, again, it's one of those things where how can we get the most out of the people that we have with like getting them the development that they need that they would, otherwise get in an NXT. God damn, like I'm gonna go with Hook. Hook wins. Just because, and I'll say too, like AEW is very, very rarely do they have hometown guys lose, and they've put a lot of New York people in prominent spots on this show.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Hook's gonna win. No reason for Yuta to become a double champion either. I think a cool swerve would be at the end of all this if they could get by. Maybe you could have Hook win this, and then Yuta could beat Hook in a pure match, and they have one last deciding match. Make it be like Yuta's own match against like Moxley and Bryan Danielson, where they have a bloody fight, like a 20-minute brawl fight match, where Hook shows something he never shown before. I think Hook and BCC could be something if they wanted to get to that. I think he's the kind of guy that would fit and help him improve training with those guys.
Absolutely. And my apologies. I just realized that this is only for the FTW title. I totally thought that this was a double title match.
No, it's only for Hook's title.
So I'll definitely say Hook then. That's a no question for me. Although, God, I would love to see Yuta walking around being like, fuck the world. Yeah. So if there's anyone that is well casted for fuck the world champion right now, it's chicken shit Yuta. I would love that.
I love it. I love it. So Moxley Kingston, who's your final prediction to win the inner? Yeah, me too.
I'm calling Kingston. This is going to be the match of the night. It's going to be everything, and I think it will be emotional as hell. Like the post match, I think will be.
I'm looking forward to that as much as the match.
Yeah. So I'm very excited. But yeah, calling Kingston. What about you?
Totally agree. I think it's destined. He came in as the double champion, and he's walking out the Triple Crown champion. I think it makes perfect sense. Not to mention, it ties up their story nicely that we've had for literally years bubbling under. They've done such a great job with the tournament and just everything they built. The promo was fantastic. I remembered like 90% of it myself after it did here. So I loved it. Great tournament, great matchup. Cannot wait to see it, and the emotional aftermath afterwards. This could be one of those, like, when they unveil this title, like whatever this Continental Championship is, and they show the final visual of him holding up all three belts, that's something you're going to need to see played at the start of every Dynamite. Put that in the intro package, play video packages for the next 5 months of it. Like, make it feel like a huge moment in AEW history that these two guys, longtime friends, first ever Continental Classic winner, this means something, and this is going to be the thing to stick around and stay for years to come. So, yeah, going with Kingston as well.
Why? Like, tell me why when you were saying that, I was picturing like the Lilico retirement from DDT Judgment.
Now that's less than an hour.
Very beautiful at the end too, like when they're all just in the ring and I'm just getting emotional. Like I really wish this was main eventing. Like I know the World Championship will main event, but God, I think Kingston's coronation is just such a exciting closer to the show in comparison to just the devil being unmasked. So, but yeah, we'll get there.
I've tried to dodge it, but no, we will get there. Julia Hart and Abaddon, you mentioned that earlier too. They've both been doing great things on the TV show, getting time at least. Abaddon, Ken had never saw Abaddon before, and he was just like, "Is that Doink the Clown?"
I said, no. My God.
I said, no, don't disrespect Abaddon like that. And Julia, like you said, done great things. So they kind of build on this show on Dynamite. It was Sky Blue versus Chris Statlander, which I thought like was a really good match. Dude, like overachieved.
Great match. Holy shit. Chris Stat really brings the best.
I know. Did I not say that when she was? Yeah.
every week now we're talking about too. Sky Blue is like really like dude, someone that I would if there's one woman from WWE that I would pluck and draft to AEW, Liv Morgan. I think if you made a stable with Liv Morgan leading fucking Sky Blue and Julia Hart would be the coolest thing in the world. Like just
Emo
absolutely insane. Yeah. Emo night.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, that was a great match. I definitely think Julia Hart's taking this. I appreciated the feud so far. Definitely, spooky girl, monster person, right? So it writes itself. They were smart to capitalize on it. I think that the consistency more than anything is what I've appreciated. I won't pretend like this is some revolutionary storyline, but just to have, a second women's match on the show that has had weeks of buildup to it, right? As opposed to just Jade Cargill's going to face X this week, right? Or something like that. Definitely think Julia is winning this. The Sky Blue stat match ended with Julia interfering, which got Sky Blue to win. So I could definitely see them running back Stat versus Julia again as well.
Oh, I'm all for it. Stat was awesome in that match. I've really grown to respect Statlander. I think she was one of the more underrated talents for a while. Always getting the best out of everybody, including Sky Blue, who's been very hot and cold on there. Mm-hmm. But I mean, she hit that code blue she hit was really good. That's another one. Ken jumped out of his seat at that when she hit that. And Ken loves Sky Blue. That's like one of his favorites on the roster. Chicago girl, looks great, does cool shit. Like, what's not to like about Sky Blue overall, if you're from Chicago especially, I would say. But yeah, and then obviously Willow ran out at the end. They had Stokely Hathaway on commentary for that he's doing the deal with Stat, trying to recruit her. He was saying some really goofy stuff on commentary about his friend or whatever that worked at AutoZone. He was talking. It was really stupid, to be honest. But Willow ran out to make the save, and like her and Stat continue to be. Statlander's still doing the Ben Stiller gimmick with the dodgeball attire that she brought out here too. So everything about her is awesome. And then at the end, basically, like, Willow ran in for the save, Sky Blue and Julia backed away, and then suddenly Abaddon's music hit, and Abaddon was just standing on the stage looking monster-y, I guess. The match itself, I don't think either of these two are exactly, Kobashi in the ring, to say the least. But interesting characters, cool looks, something unique. I don't think this should go that long, to be honest, on this long-looking show. I think get in, get out, do some basic stuff. You could do the character spots with both. And I think I agree with you. Julia keeps the title here, and maybe you'll transition back to Stat and Julia in a singles match next time, which could be good. But it's a chance and they're at least giving them a chance, at the end of the day. Show something, and maybe Abaddon can impress. I also think Thunder Rosa could be somebody that they could put in now that she's back as well.
Definitely. And, this is going to be a massive test for Julia.
Yep.
She really that match with Stat is what really elevated her. Then they had the triple threat. So now that this is like her first real, I thought her matches against she had one against Emmy, which I thought was really good. And I want to say there was one more, which I can't remember. But I'm hoping for a really good match. This is, with everything that's on this card, I would say that this is up there in terms of my excitement. So.
We also have the other women's title, the AEW women's title match. Timeless Toni Storm defending against Riho. And basically how this match was built up on Dynamite was they had this interview segment with Mariah May. Personally, I think Mariah May's theme music, not a banger. Right now, I think she needs a little upgrade in the theme music department. Get on that Sky Blue level where they gave her the new music. She upped her game. Mariah May, tremendous talent, by the way. She cut a promo basically saying her first match will be at the start of the new year, the first Dynamite. And then Riho came out and chased her down to the ring. So continuing to prove that Riho is indeed the Brock Lesnar of AEW even now, as Mariah May literally ran away to the ring to get away from Riho as she walked calmly towards her. So Riho came in, and then Toni Storm ran out and tried to hit her with a belt, but Riho dodged it, set her up for the 619, but Luther got her out, but then Riho climbed up to the top, hit a big dive on Toni and Luther, and then held up the title. Basic build-up. It's not like we had any intricate promos, but Toni's gotten a lot of TV time, which also means Riho's got a couple of matches to kind of reintegrate her with the AEW crowd. I think it's been, not exactly award-winning TV, but basic, pretty well done, and the match could be good. I'm not totally sold on Toni Storm as a character in the ring. I like what she's done on commentary, and I like the intrigue of her deal with Mariah May. But this match, I think Riho is going to have to hit that next gear to make this something really good. But still, there's potential with this. I think Toni will win. Unfortunately for Riho, I just don't think she has a chance to dethrone Timeless Toni right now, because I don't think they would want to take the belt off of her so soon. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Toni's winning this as well. Right now, it feels like the trajectory is definitely going to climax with like a Toni Mariah feud at some point, which isn't to say Mariah will be the next champion, but that sort of seems like an end goal right now. I'm really happy for Riho being back and having this spotlight. Totally agree again on this not being promo heavy feud. It seems like they've sort of tapped into the strengths of these two currently, where, getting Riho reintegrated back into the ring. She's definitely one of the better wrestlers in the company. And then Toni on commentary is just always a shitload of fun for me. I really wish, though, that they would have leaned a little bit more into more of a story than just like Toni's confusion with her, right? Which sort of seems like the general thing that she has with most people. But if Riho's the first women's champion, right, I think there's a lot you could do there. Toni is, this sequel will be better, right? She tries to rewrite the history books. I don't know. There's so much crazy shit that you can do with Toni's character that I don't think there's any reason for there to not be something absolutely ludicrous paired with this. Because Toni right now, right? It's like, she cracked. Now she's very much cemented in this character, but the way we got here is that she essentially, had a psychotic break. And because of that, I think what you could do, is really amplify, this is brought on by anxiety. This is brought on by fear, by all these things. And how can we amplify those through this current, cartoonish, garish character? And I don't think that they're quite tapping into that yet. And I really hope that they do. But yeah, that's it for this one.
I think that could be a next step when Mariah turns on her. We could see that explored a little bit more. And I like to see them give Riho something a little bit more. This is my problem with Shida as well, even when she was champion. Give Riho some depth as a character. Like, I don't care what you do. Tell her story, whatever she wants to tell or whatever you want to tell. Just give us something. Like, I don't care what it is. Just figure something out, something to latch onto. I think that would help Riho out a lot, because you look at her, she's a good wrestler. I think that's proven in all of her matches. The crowds really like her, and there's nothing wrong with her on her own as a talent. It's that I wish they would give her a little bit more depth to her character.
Yep, 100%. I think there's just so much you can do there with deepening Toni's lore. Yeah, 100%.
And Riho, in my opinion. Like, I would like to see Riho get a little bit more depth.
Yeah.
So then we have an 8-man tag team match that just got added after the show ended tonight. Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher and Powerhouse Hobbs, taking on Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin. So they had a big segment on Dynamite where Don Callis came out to waste everyone's time, as he usually does. And we had 4 paintings in the ring, and he was like, "Oh, Hobbs, look at this. I gave you a present, a painting of Hobbs looking badass," or whatever. He's like, "Takeshita, you gave me so much support, and now I have one for you." He gave him a painting. And then he gave Kyle Fletcher a painting about beating up kangaroos or something going in there. Who is painting all of these things is what I want to know. Somebody spent so much time working on this for it to be destroyed.
She's on easily. Twitter. She posts a lot about, I want to say it's Mel Coleman, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
The artist.
Shout out to her. She's very talented.
Yeah, her art is the complete opposite of Don Callis in this storyline. It's remarkable and exceptional and groundbreaking. Um, this fucking sucked, Dylan, so much. Everything about this sucks. The one good thing. Oh, sorry.
Let me finish this segment because we have a lot to unpack here. So he's there. There's this fourth painting that just so magically happened to be there, and wouldn't you know it, Sammy Guevara returns when that happens. And like Don Callis and the family are all cheering when he comes out, and the announcers are like, "Oh, he's in the family. Why does he look so pissed on there?" And so he comes out. He got a good pop too when he came out, like his music hit. And so he comes in, and Don Callis is like, it's just like Christmas all over again. And then Sammy was like, "Why didn't you call me all this time?" And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about that." Yeah, very, very original storyline that we have here. And he's like, don't worry about all that. He's like, "I just so happened to have a gift made. I've been carrying this thing around for the last 2 months on the off chance that you actually showed up for work for once." And then he went in there and he had a picture of the family and him and his baby. And he was like, "Who the hell told you to put my baby in that picture?"
Oh, my God. It's painful just to hear you recap it.
I probably delivered that better this time than he did, actually. So Don Callis was like, don't worry about it. And he's like, "Why didn't you call me?" And Don Callis was like, "You want to shoot on me even after I gave you a gift? Well, let's get into it. You are a failure. Where we both know you don't have the mental capacity to be a parent." And when he said that, Kid immediately jumped in and said, "Hit him." Like he wanted Sammy to hit Don Callis so much when he said that. And he was like, "You've got two choices. Will you take this family or that family?" And Ken again was like, "Choose that family. That family is the one you need. Your own family." And so Ken was ad-libbing throughout this whole segment. And then Sammy was like, he looked around, and then Callis was like, "If you choose that family, you'll be as much of a failure as a wrestler as you are a new parent." And then Sammy shoved him. I do think that he should have popped him. Instead of shoving him, he should have punched the glasses on his face or something. I think that would have been more impactful than the shove. So he immediately gets jumped by the family, 4-on-1 beating for Sammy, and then suddenly Jericho comes out with the bat. He's swinging high, cleared the ring, beating the hell out of everybody. But then it looks like the family's about to get the numbers game, and then suddenly the lights go out. And this was at least a surprise and unexpected. So they come back on. Sting and Darby are in the ring. Why? Totally unexplained. But regardless, Sting and Jericho used the bat. They did a part where he tossed the bat back and forth with each other, and Sting whacked Big Bill in the leg. They clean house. Darby, Sammy, Jericho, and Sting all stand tall. And so now Sammy's back to a babyface. Why did they turn him in the first place?
Dude.
Why?
Like, I'm not a Sammy Guevara fan, but this poor fucking kid, dude, is like surgically attached to Chris Jericho, or Chris Jericho is like a wart on his back. Like, I think that this is a big indicator of just how, currently washed Jericho is that in order to restore this match, they had to bring in Sammy, Sting, and Darby. Which is pretty fucking crazy. This is not a pay-per-view match. This is not even a television main event. I can tell you right now, Dylan, this is going to be my food break. This is when I'm going to go get food. And honestly, if you tell me, actually, because I'll be watching this on Sunday after it's already aired. And if you tell me this is worth skipping, by God, I would happily skip it. But I will watch it, of course, to discuss it.
Thank you.
But dude, just like, Takeshita's not even wrestling.
That's what I don't understand.
Big Bill, like, again, tag team champions that have no presence as the actual tag team champions. Even though they've been doing these promos, they've been building this feud, and now they're paying the price. I don't see the reason for this to be an 8-man. I think you could have just done Jericho and Sammy versus Starks and Big Bill.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, and then that makes me wonder, was the Callis family originally just going to fight Sting and Darby on 1 week's notice, or were none of these people going to be on the show? Like, what's going on here? And then like, dude, like everything with Sammy is just the most illogical, like the worst of wrestling storytelling. Anyone that watches wrestling, you know it. It's total bullshit.
And it didn't have to be this way, though. Is my problem with it? They wasted all of this time on him when he was hated by everybody, tried to make him a babyface. So then when he finally actually gets over, they immediately turn him heel, of course. And now you have a built storyline, new child. Everybody can relate to that, regardless of what you think about Sammy. Everyone will not hate on a baby at the end of the day, or a new father. You have a little bit of cachet to try to redeem yourself. And instead, he is also attached to Jericho, but also everyone is attached to the Don Callis family and surgically attached and cannot ever escape, no matter who it is. What is the point of this at all? And why didn't they just do the tag title match that they had already set up? Golden Jets. Okay, Omega's out. Sammy comes to his aid. It makes perfect sense. Why did we need to involve the Don Callis family at all? Or if anything, you could have had Sammy save Jericho at some point. They reunite for this tag title match. And if you wanted, the Callis family could screw over Sammy in the match, and that could kickstart a feud with some logic behind it and some reason at least. But they avoided all of that for this quick, half-baked turn that we had. But I will say this. Them destroying, because at one point Jericho smashed all three of the pictures and then handed the bat to Sammy to smash his. That was a great visual, honestly. Like, they bashed the hell out of those pictures. And I felt bad for Mel Coleman, unfortunately, because her artwork got ruined. But it was kind of a badass visual, I do have to get. And it's also another thing. Why are Sting and Darby helping them again? What do they have to do with any of this?
I was just about to say, do you think this sets up Sting and Darby for a tag title shot? And do you think they win?
I'm down with that.
And Sting's retirement match is a tag title championship match or something?
I personally think it would be a disappointment to many if it wasn't a singles match.
Actually, that's dumb as fuck. Why would his retirement match be a title match? He's going to lose no matter what.
Yeah, like
I was about to say it's late, but it's still earlier for me than it is for you, so I don't have a good excuse on that one.
It's okay. It's okay. Listen, we're all having fun in fantasy booking here, and Troy trying to make something out of this crazy match that they have. I'll go with Team Sting winning. I'm putting my money against the Callis family.
Yeah. Fuck. Who do you pin in this match? So I'm like, Fletcher just won the TV title, but he's getting pinned, huh? I'll be very bummed if the tag champs get pinned or Hobbs. Like, again, I think this is something where you just pin Sammy. Like, you were just talking as well about him coming back and being a father. And, I did not think that he captured any of that energy, too. Of like,
you did mention that.
It's happened a lot, right? Like, when Moxley left for rehab, right? He left as a heel. He came back as a massive babyface. A lot of wrestling, and that happens often in wrestling, where someone leaves due to a real-life thing, whether it be pregnancy or, issues or even tragedy sometimes, illness, whatever, right? And that can sort of rewrite who they are and who they return as. Dude, when Sammy was like, who told you to put my daughter in there? This was some 5 more minutes bullshit, man. Like, when he said that, I was like, what? Like, dude.
What's the problem with that? I don't know.
I don't get it. Like, it's so fucking dumb. And
if you were a father, you would understand why you don't want people talking good about your child and memorializing them.
I will say too, like everything between Don and Sammy felt like they were getting in 3 months of a story in 30 seconds.
Totally agree.
All right, let's cut to it then. You can't be a father. And it's like, what?
Where did that come from? And on top of it, he was constantly saying like you finally showed up to work for once. And it's like, you ruined this family because you got injured with your damn concussion. You wasted all of our time having a child. You should have been with us this whole time. And like you said, it was a totally 180 turn. And like you said, this could have been explained in months, and instead it happened in a minute, pretty much. Bad stuff all around. I'm not as down on Sammy as some people. I know a lot of people don't like him. But I I cannot approve of how this all went at the end of the day. I think Hobbs might take the fall.
If we set Sammy back to square one as well, like, I don't know.
Totally. He's going, like, there's no growth in his character to go back to Jericho.
No. And again, look at these pillars now. Like, I think Darby's been hurt. Like, that's why he hasn't been on. But, dude, Darby has very low profile. Sammy's been out. And even he returns and he's exactly where he was. He's farther back before when he left. Like, and then Jack's just fucking gone still. He's just in the ether.
That turn was so stupid in hindsight. I said it when it happened, and I double believe it now. The turn on Jericho was totally stupid and unnecessary, in my opinion. It was made worse by a lot of other bad decisions. But anyway, you go with the Callis family, Pin Sammy. I'll go with
Starks and. Or sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go with Sammy pinning Hobbs. Goodbye. Get the return pop.
Wow. I'm gonna go with Big Bill getting a pin.
Okay.
Hometown guy, right? I'm assuming he's from New York, right? He has to be from. If he is not from fucking New York,
from Queens, New York.
There we go. Thank God. Yeah. I was gonna say if he's not, I'll get a Big Bill tattoo that says he should be from New York.
Well, he is. So he lives up to your reputation there.
But no, I would love to see the actual tag champs because everyone else in this match, I think, is, totally expendable in storyline right now. Sting absolutely has his own thing going on. Like, he's fucking Sting no matter what. But these are your actual tag champions. The other two guys are the two lower guys in the family outside of Takeshita and Ospreay. And then it's a washed Jericho and a fucking returning Sammy with nothing to do. So, let's go Starks and Bill. Big Billy Starks. I hope they win.
They're good. I like them as a tag team. I didn't like that line from Jericho trying to seem clever, but I did like them as a tag team overall.
Fucking Excalibur. Yeah, check out Ring of Honor Final Battle this Friday.
And if you want to check out our review of Final Battle featuring Billy Starks in the main event versus Athena as well, in a very strong match as well. Great pay-per-view overall, which we get into there. Next match, Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee. Again, they had the little promo after the triple threat, and they got the contract. This has been one of those that's been around forever, and they're finally doing the blow-off. I think we both think Swerve will win here, but maybe you'll surprise me.
It's funny that Keith Lee went from being him to chasing him, right? Like, Shane Taylor's like, that's it. It's time for him. And Keith Lee's like, who, me? And then after he wins, he's like, that's it. I'm coming for him. So I'm excited to see who him is for Swerve. And I'm hoping it's MJF. But I definitely think Swerve's going to go over here. This has everything to be your, like, I think this should open the show. I think this could fucking be your, I look back at like those old, Darby MJF pay-per-view opener, right? This has everything to be an absolutely fucking amazing match without being insanely high stakes or a main event program. They have everything they need for storytelling already. This is a long time coming. My only hope with the match is that Swerve gets a clean win. I think that they've been doing a great job, especially in the C2 by establishing heels not needing interference wins, which is a pretty big issue in AEW historically. I fucking love Prince Nana. I hope he's ringside the whole time, but I just really hope Swerve gets a very emphatic and clean finish. If it's a dirty pin, then I imagine it's going to go forward. But I think that Keith's obsession with this losing can do a lot more for his character, and I think that we talk about how losses, don't ruin careers, but I'm like, dude, if you make Swerve lose right now, then you should be fired, right? Straight up. Like that, he needs to continue rising. He's your next world champion, in my opinion.
I totally agree. I fully expect him to get a win. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't have a handshake as they did this, and we don't see Swerve maybe go towards more babyface leading tactic after this. I think the fans are into him so much. He won so much respect through the tournament. what's not to like about him? He's got ultimate swag, like great guy, great on the mic, great wrestler, carries himself again such a unique style, and just a hell of a talent, man. I love Swerve.
Yeah.
I'm going with him. And Keith Lee, with all due respect, and I like him a lot. I think he's one of the most misused talents in AEW. I think he has a ton of upside if they used him right, rather than not at all, which is what they've used him for here. But the fact of the matter is, he's one of the least pushed guys on this whole show. You want to talk about lost in the ether? They've done so little with him that I think him losing wouldn't affect anything pretty much with him. He's going to go the same way regardless. Swerve gets the win. I don't expect too much there. I like the idea of starting the show with that, though. Kind of bookending the show with maybe your big program down the line. Yeah. Miro versus Andrade.
I'm going to call Andrade, and I really hope that they end this program after. Yeah. I liked the Redeemer character a lot. I think they lost everything that they were just kind of like being mysterious about in his like little rambling promos was always this ugly and misogynistic. But dude, like this was bad. I like Miro in ring. Like Miro's he's one of those guys where it's like, why does he wrestle only once every 3 fucking months? Right. If there's one person I think who, like, if we look at Collision, right, from start to finish, and I'm like, if there's one person that they've invested the most in, because it's not Punk anymore, Danielson came back halfway through, dude, Andrade has been the fucking guy on Collision. Never loses, very rarely. Seems like there has been a lot of genuine investment in him since he's come back. Him going to CMLL, this all kind of makes me think that he's not re-signing with the WWE, perhaps. I don't even know what his contract status is, but, he's one of those guys where everyone always talks about, oh, yeah, he's going back to the Fed first thing, right? But I think Andrade needs to win here. Again, if we're talking about character progression, Andrade is another guy who I think is going to be you need to start making new world title challengers, right? And I think that this pay-per-view needs to establish some of those. And Miro is the character losing. I think that the sort of like disillusioning his faith, I fought for this and I should have fought for that, whatever, right? Again, a loss makes sense for his character, and I want to see Andrade and I don't know what do you think is next for them, because this is the first match as well still. So I say Andrade here, and I could see it being clean. Do you think CJ interferes?
That's what I was thinking.
Do you think CJ turns on Andrade?
That's what I was thinking. Like This is all a big plan to help Miro, pretty much. I hate this angle that they're doing with CJ. And Miro is a fantastic performer. I loved his promos when he was the champion, the Redeemer and all of that stuff. It was great. Then they kind of turned it, as you said, more to his wife. And like you said, they were teasing some misogyny type of stuff. And now they've gone, I
was just going to say it very much went from like, you don't know God, I will show you God, to like, my wife stays in the kitchen when I fight in the ring. And I'm like, what happened between here and there, bud? And I think we had both talked about that show as well. And my apologies for interrupting, but it was very jarring because we had both talked that night. Like, this came out of nowhere. It was a very sudden and immediate shift in the character, the way he speaks, and just even his like aura, right? He went from sort of being almost like very like mythic in a way, I guess you could say, more of an out there character, to now he just feels like a very general kind of buffoonish brute in terms of like his intellect and whatnot. And I think they've lost a lot of that aura.
And especially with the character, like, the wife choosing another man over him and he's jealous of it. And I don't know. Like, there's not a lot. That doesn't do a lot for me. Nothing about any of this does anything for me compared to where we were at with the Gods Champion deal, which was freaking awesome. Big step back. Love his work. I think he's a great wrestler. I think this is a sleeper match on the card. If they get time, I think they're going to deliver big. I fear that CJ will interfere and it'll be a turn on Andrade to complete that. Maybe you could pull something. CJ managing her own faction, get Miro a buddy. You put Andrade, like LFI, pull something into there. I don't know, but I'll play it safe and go with Andrade as well here, and just make it straight up. Have whatever blow off with Miro and CJ you're gonna do, but let Andrade get the win. He needs to continue his momentum from the tournament.
Dude, yeah, and oh my God, what was I just going to say? I completely forgot. So, oh, sorry. You are way more knowledgeable about Mexican wrestling than I am.
Yeah.
I know Andrade just returned to CMLL. If I'm not mistaken, there is a iteration of LIF and CMLL, right? With a different name.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So my question is, obviously I would say the one thing I feel like that isn't really being touched on in the company right now is the Rush Andrade relationship, especially because they were aligned originally. And then, unfortunately, Sammy Guevara ran into Andrade's fist. And then that led to the solution. But could you see Andrade maybe bringing in other people? Do you see an LFI civil war? What do you see any sort of, evolution of their relationship? What do you hope to see maybe in this sense between these two guys?
For me, so like originally way back, like 10 years ago now, we got a group called Los Ingobernables that started in CMLL. And it was Rush and Andrade, then known as La Sombra, and this other guy called La Mascara. He sucks. But they did the Ingobernables stuff. That branched off to Naito joining the group, who was Sombra's teammate in Japan. Naito came in on his Mexican excursion and joined it, then brought it to Japan and called it LIJ, which is, as we know, like he stole that from the original Ingobernables in Mexico. And that means like the ungovernables, because they were trying to be like, in Mexico, it's more defined. On TV, you don't really hear people say, oh, so-and-so's a baby face, and so it's a face versus heel matchup. They don't explicitly say that, even if we all know that. In Mexico, baby faces are called technicos, and heels are called rudos. So the technicos and the rudos are always named. Like, everyone knows who's a technico and a rudo. But the Arena Mexico crowd, it was kind of like in WWE where everybody was rejecting their product. A lot of times the Arena Mexico crowd would always boo the technicos. And so they were basically trying to make the heels instead of technicos getting booed. So they were like, no, we're not rudos, we're technicos. But they would do all the asshole stuff that would make people still boo them. And they became superstars because of it. So that transitioned to them falling out with CMLL and Rush starting LFI, which is basically a continuation of that. And the guys you're talking about in Mexico now were called the Nuevos Ingobernables, which were like the new Ingobernables. They were a team, Terrible, who's been injured a lot, and the Chavez brothers, Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja, who are two of the best workers in CMLL, in my opinion, and two of my favorites. And they kind of continued on that path. Angel de Oro had a great match with Volador in the Aniversario this year, where Volador pulled an amazing match out with a broken arm. Everybody should watch that match. It's unbelievable. But they're great. If they wanted to do something where Sombra could maybe team up with them and have a rebirth of the Ingobernables, and they could do something with Rush as well in there, that would be pretty interesting. I think that would be really cool. I'd love to see a lot of people from CML get a spot in AEW if they wanted to do it. I don't know how keen Tony Khan is of that. They've kind of kept CMLL at an arm's length so far. Outside of the Mystico match on Rampage, they haven't really done a lot with the CMLL guys, so I don't know if that's a plan. When he came back, he hasn't teamed with the Nuevos Ingobernables, though. Andrade hasn't since he's back in CMLL. He did team with Angel de Oro once, but also Soberano Jr., who is a newly crowned Rudo. So they're kind of trying to fit Soberano, who also teamed with the Chavez brothers a lot because they're all from the same area. That happens a lot in Lucha. Like, so me and you, if we were from the same, like if me and two other wrestlers were both from Memphis, we would probably naturally have an affinity for each other if it were the Mexican style. Like people from the Lagoon region, would be with each other. Anybody Blue Panther brings in will have an alliance. That happens a lot in Lucha, where guys from the same area are often teaming together and become friends that way.
Isn't like Bestia 666 like that whole family's like Tijuana or some shit?
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
And also Andrade, his cousin is a new luchador in CMLL, Briante Jr., who was actually Andrade's original name was Briante Jr. in CMLL. His dad was Briante, obviously. So now he's got his cousin who is now Briante Jr. And Andrade was the first, but now he's just Andrade. So it's fun how Lucha Libre works sometimes. But long story short, I would absolutely love if you brought any of those names I mentioned into AEW. I think they would all be great fits to do something with them. And if anything, just have Andrade and Rush kind of team up and pair off again and do some cool stuff. I think that would be great if they could do that. Even a feud, if you could have Rush lead his guys with LFI versus Andrade and like the Nuevos Ingobernables. You could even do something with Naito coming in, see whose side he's on. You could do a lot of interesting stuff if they wanted.
Yeah, and dude, like, you know, with Andrade as well, like I will never forget his match against Johnny Gargano. Like that was very
one of the best.
Formative for me, right? Like that was the match that I feel like really defined NXT as like, this is fucking something. And dude, he just turned 34 like last month. This guy is young. And he is only getting better and somehow bigger and somehow faster. It's scary. It's very scary. But like, dude, I really think that he hasn't even hit that level. Like, I think the surface that Swerve is scratching right now is like he's hitting his next evolution. And I don't think that we've seen Andrade start to scratch that surface yet in AEW, or even like I think what he did in NXT was that next evolution of him, and I don't think we've seen the Andrade post that yet. I think Swerve has absolutely refound himself and elevated himself in AEW now. But dude, like, you know, when I look at these two guys, like, tell me that Swerve versus Andrade for a world title main event isn't like one of those like old school black and gold NXT, like when you go in and you're like, if this isn't a 5-star, I'm going to be upset, right? Like, it's that kind of just absolute unreal talent. So,
yeah, I totally agree. I think he's got a ton of potential, like $1 million look. You know, wrestles great, has so much. Like you said, he hasn't even scratched the surface yet at AEW. If they could get by that to that level that he was at NXT with Zelina, I think they would be really off to the races with him. And they've shown in this tournament, he's really reestablished himself somewhat. He hasn't got to the heights Swerve has yet, but this was a great step forward for him. I think he's much better off since the tournament than before it, in my opinion. And hopefully he can win this match with Miro and take another step forward. So, the main event.
Dylan's main event.
MJF versus Samoa Joe for the AEW World Title. Let's talk about the angle they shot tonight. Originally, it was going to be MJF and Joe defending the Ring of Honor tag belts versus two guys, like two of the Putty Patrol members that the Devil has. So they come out. First of all, even Ken was like, "What the fuck? This match is starting at 9 o'clock."
Dude, yes, I was just about to say it began at fucking 8. Like the lack of the lack of visible investment in this that they had from the beginning.
And so they just walk out of the crowd, no music. Two guys come out with black masks on, you can't see any of their features. And then MJF comes out, they play Joe's music, and MJF's like, "All right," and they're like, "We're waiting the appearance of Samoa Joe now." And they cut to the back, and he's like, "Ah, my leg." And so he's hurt. He's been attacked too. And MJF's like, "Screw it. I'll do the match myself." So he runs in. He beats up the two geeks. Tries to pull out the mask. At one point, he takes one outside, but then a third goon comes in from under the ring and blasts him with an umbrella or a stick or something. Hits him with that. And Tony Schiavone says, "Where did he come from?" And Ken got really mad at this. He was like, "Are you fucking serious? He came from right under the ring. We saw it." It was very funny to me.
Excalibur sees him hit him, but then like just completely oh my god. Great point, Ken. Thank you.
Yes. So they roll him back in, and as you mentioned to me on text message, they totally blow the finish, where he goes for the roll-up, tries like hell to put his feet on the ropes, but fails 3 times in a row.
The other devil's trying to put his fucking feet up there too. Like it wasn't just one guy biffing it, dude. It was both of them. Just
yeah, you're right. Both of them screwed up the most basic heel spot, and they still screwed it up. What the? Like this stuff, this stupid shit that they're feeding us after a wonderful show. My message I have on draft, I didn't send it, but I put I hate AEW on there after a great show otherwise. But this was so dumb, and it got even worse somehow. So they are now, Masked Goon A and B are now the Ring of Honor Tag Champions, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will represent Ring of Honor to the fullest.
Did you hear Justin Roberts?
Yeah. He said the new tag team champions.
Just didn't say shit, dude.
Yeah.
I did laugh really hard at that. Oh my god. Yeah, please finish.
So then they beat the hell out of him. Then 2 other goons show up. Who knows where the 4th one came from? It's a 4-on-1 beating, and then suddenly Joe's music hits again. He hobbles down to the ring with a steel chair. They all flee, and he helps MJF, and he's like, damn it, how can we lose the titles like this? And suddenly, the devil appears on the screen, and we see the message, it was nice doing business with you. And then suddenly, Joe, much like Seth Rollins with the Shield, smashes the chair onto MJF, smashes him again with the chair, beats the hell out of him, hits the muscle buster, and poses with the title. So now Joe has been in league with the devil all along, is our next storyline twist. Now, how did they explain that when Joe has protected him all the way to this point? He's the one that came up with that idea.
So I saw this differently. Like when Joe was beating up Maxon originally, I thought he was saying, I did this to you, but I guess he was saying, I'm doing this for you. So something that like,
I don't like where this is going already.
Okay. I mean, I say this now, I still hate it. I want to say that.
Yeah.
But just, this is the way I interpreted it. Was that I'm doing this for you is Joe maybe knows who the devil is, and he's like, dude, I'll take you out now and I'll save you more pain type thing, right? Also, I see it as if Max doesn't show up Saturday, Joe wins, and then now that the devil people are gone or whatever, the match is over. Technically the only thing MJF has to do now is, just show up on Saturday, essentially like, Joe beats the shit out of him. Hey, I protected you as long as I needed to. Now I'm going to beat you down. You come in even weaker. And then it reestablishes him as the heel. I was never your friend. But dude, all of it from top to bottom, like, yeah, I don't know. But so what made you think that he's in league with the devil? Was it just because of like how it all happened in order or?
No, he said that
the commentary was saying that you're correct. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and the message on the screen said, I did business with you. So the devil said he's in league with the devil, at least.
Dude, okay. Like that, and that's the thing was, even when the commentary was saying it, I was confused because I was like, it feels like they're trying to force that through, but like, I still just like, I don't know.
Hey, can we just say another thing? Can we just say another thing about these messages? You can't read these because they don't zoom in on them to where you can read what these messages say. You're basically looking at it from a distance to where unless you have a hypervision TV 4K, it's not, you have to kind of, look extra hard for it to see what it said. So it's not surprising you missed it because they don't even read it really. They just show it on the screen. And if you're looking at MJF and Joe, you're not looking at the screen. And then they take it off. So you might not have even seen that. The part about, hey, it was a pleasure doing business with you, Joe.
Yeah, and Oh, okay. So I saw Pleasure Doing Business with You. I thought that they were saying that to MJF is like, thanks for the title match or whatever. Okay, so that's very good to know. Thank you for the clarification. My
Well,
God, I've
maybe
misunderstood
it's
for
all
a couple of weeks.
maybe it's all a swerve, and you're right. I'm not going to speak definitively on this, my friends,
Um,
because there is no
who could
logic. But
who could really predict this sort of magnum opus, cerebral storytelling? But dude, I think that the punishment for this whole feud and just storyline should be that every single time they promote this world title main event, they say, "Will Samoa Joe lose to MJF again?" Because I think that's still like one of my biggest hangups is, dude, we saw this match and it ended fucking clean. Like,
well, MJF cheated. Like he used the chain to choke him out, and he dropped it right in front of the referee, which the referee had to conveniently ignore.
God damn it, dude. My memory is not what it used to be. This is just in sequence now. I'm dropping the ball. But dude, God, even then, I'm just like, I would say I'm very biased towards Japanese like approaches to sort of title reigns, where they don't do a lot of rematches. It's the sequence of opponents. So for me, and again, it's one of those things where like you gave us a long world title match on television, and now you're going to run that television back as a pay-per-view main event. It's like a fan that watches that feels fucking cheap to me. It feels
sucks.
like, it's not something that I inherently want to pay for. So thank God for every other match on this card except the Callis family one. But who do you think wins here? Like, does MJF carry it into the new year? Let's break down some things here, right? I mean, looking at the pay-per-view, because we've sort of talked about, our thoughts on Dynamite, not great. If you would have ended the show at 8 when it actually was supposed to,
it was great until this stupid ass main event.
Sky Blue and Chris Statlander, the people's main event.
Yeah.
But who do you think the devil is? Who do you think the tag champs are? Who's winning? And then again,
so many questions.
One of the things that I keep forgetting is MJF is shoot hurt, right? Like his body, his hip is fucked. He has a torn labrum. Do we see Joe potentially winning here and sort of maybe doing a transitional champion role with a swerve? So thought everything. Sorry, a lot of questions.
Like I said earlier, I could totally see Swerve going more of a babyface leaning role after this pay-per-view. And if Joe were to win, that totally opens the door for Swerve in the near future. This storyline, as much as it sucks, and it truly, truly sucks, they've invested so much into it. Even with him being hurt, I think to have him lose the title before we even know who the devil is, I don't know if they would do that. Ultimately, like I think we have to get to who the hell this stupid ass devil is in the first place.
So I'm trying to think.
And will he ever be revealed? Will we ever learn who he is?
Because I feel like he has to be revealed here. The finish I could see is that it's the end of the match. MJF is maybe going to win. The devil walks out in front of the ring, pulls off the mask. It's Luther. And then MJF's like, I can't believe it. Match ends.
Okay, who are your top suspects for the devil? I'll throw some names at you, see what you think. Listen, let's say this plays out exactly as you said. The devil comes out, pulls the mask off. MJF can't believe it. Joe chokes him out or whatever. Afterward, Jungle Boy.
I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard not to laugh because I just pictured it as Stephen A. Smith. I pictured him as that.
Stephen A. Smith.
It's not fucking Draymond Green is the tag champion. It just all comes cool. Jack Perry, like it's different. I think, everyone assumes Adam Cole. Jack Perry, is it exciting? No. Does it make sense? Yes. Like MJF shit on Jack so much, stole the wins, and then MJF turns babyface, Jack turns heel, so Jack steals his shit. It makes sense on paper. I think you could have a good feud, but no, I won't say it's Jack. Who else?
Adam Cole, probably the clubhouse favorite.
I mean, dude, that's what makes the most sense. But it's like, is he healthy enough to return? Is he going to switch roles with Roddy? Like,
And that's the one thing if they are desperate to push this along until Cole can be healthy, could they like drag this out even more? That's the one thing I'm thinking. Like, they don't want to reveal it until Cole can actually do something. And that's why they're dragging this out. And to me, in all honesty, who cares who it is? At this point, the storyline's gone so far off the rails. No matter who it could possibly be, I still won't like it. Like, there's no good options. There's just some that can maybe be a little bit interesting coming in. And I think that would probably be, like you said, that's the one that honestly makes the most sense, is Cole, to out of everybody.
And I mean, he is very insulated with players who are already connected to him. One of my big fears is that this is so embedded into the world title scene is like, if MJF wins, right, how does this not remain the world title picture of him feuding with the devil? If the devil comes down and MJF loses as a result, because I think that just makes the most sense from a storyline perspective. Is it the most exciting? No, but whatever. Then I think they can feud without the title, right? And then that person maybe puts MJF on the shelf so he can heal. But then does the devil not go for the fucking world title?
Yeah, that's another thing. There's no good options with this storyline. They booked themselves so poorly that no matter what they do, there's going to be a lot of holes and stupid stuff to answer for.
And then also, like, if it is Adam Cole, this guy is challenged for the world title 4 times now. Like, I think he has actually challenged it twice against Hangman, twice against MJF. He has challenged for it more than anyone else on the roster has. And without ever winging it. Like, the last person I want in the world title picture again, sadly, is Adam Cole. And then, I do think that they will reveal them on Saturday. Like, again, I really feel like they have to. And also, I think we'll see who the tag team champions are. So
that's
Ring
true.
of Honor can move forward. If it's Cole, I've seen a lot of people just in the group chats talk about Red Dragon, Bobby Fish back.
Yeah.
Kyle and Bobby as the tag champs in Ring of Honor could be really cool. And then the Kingdom is the other 2 people. What I think would be really interesting is if Roddy didn't know. That's the one thing that, like, I'm excited about this, is that Roddy was actually...
That would actually be somewhat clever, actually.
Yeah, and he's like, what? And then, because, I think that you could actually make some money with Roddy and MJF. I think that Roddy complements him better. I don't think Cole can play... Cole's better as an evil fucking prick. Cole is better as a Christian Cage heel than an MJF heel. I think Roddy is a really good MJF sort of comedy heel. They can play better off each other. The Cole stuff always feels
eventually become baby faces. The crowd will side with Roddy and MJF. That would actually be a clever turn if they did something like that, to where he was the only one in the dark. And you could easily do something where they... a 4-on-1 beatdown between Red Dragon, the Kingdom, and Cole. I
mean, you could do something too. Like, why do you think we were literally always with you, Roddy? We're just trying to, like, fucking make sure you didn't ruin things or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we're like the Kingdom, because it could be like they have been very like how would you even describe them? Like, just like they're like cult followers of Roddy, essentially, right? So it'd be funny to almost give, like, justification to why they're, like, so seemingly obsessed with, like, always being around him or whatever, but they're like, nah, dude, you suck.
That would explain so many things.
Roddy.
Yeah, that would explain so many stupid parts of this if that happened. That's like a genius idea you just came up with. If they did that, my perspective may change entirely. It's such a good idea. Nothing they've done gives me faith that this will turn out good. But if they did do that, everything would actually make somewhat logical sense. The Joe stuff is kind of stupid, but if he ends up winning the title, I guess it makes sense. But then you still have to worry about, will Cole go for the title? And that it's tough, but I like your idea a lot. That's the best case scenario to me. Roddy in the dark as, like, a useful idiot. That they end up, obviously the ending of that would be that he's been underestimated. and him and MGF connect together. We both got fucked over by Cole. Like, we now have this bond in a weird way, and they can have the moment where they have the big hug at the end. I think the crowd would love that. Like, if Roddy and MGF became aligned and they finally hugged, I think the crowd would like pop huge for that. Overall, too.
It's not as forced like that. Actually, something we've talked about a lot throughout this entire, from Cole and MJF to MJF and the Devil, et cetera, is that not a lot of it feels earned. It's like they know what the story beats are. They know the things they want to pay tribute to, right? From the Ric Flair or whatever you said from the last one, him driving the ambulance back to the arena, to the replicating of the Seth Rollins Shield spot, as you said tonight, right? Like, they are in dialogue with history, but it's just not. It's not earned. It doesn't click. Like, it's like it's tracing, right? Like, that's what it feels like, is you're drawing over the lines that are there rather than trying to like dance with them and create something new. And to sort of, I guess, to make my official prediction, again, I think MJF has to lose in my heart. I hope, because if not, then he's feuding with the Devil for the world title. I think the Devil costs MJF the world title. I think Samoa Joe wins here. Dude, it seems like if Tony loves anyone, it's Shibata and Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe has been a champion since he's joined this company in one way or another. I could totally see him giving sort of that really like strong. I could see Tony doing that, as well as like needing a transitional champion, being like, WWE didn't make you a world champion, I will make you a fucking world champion, right? Type deal. And then I think if you need a transitional champion, like we were saying, to get to more babyface leaning Swerve, Joe is fucking awesome for that. My God. And then also, I just thought, and I don't know if this makes any sense though, but maybe the Devil enters the pre-show battle royale as well and wins, kind of like MJF did at the Chip. That could be a very interesting callback as well. But then I'm like, that doesn't
if it was
with Christian or maybe Copeland.
If the number one contender for the world title, I would probably predict that. But because it's the TNT title, I don't think that will happen. But if they ever do something where it's like a crazy match where the winner is the number one contender for the title, I could see that happening if they do extend this, which I hope they don't. I'm going to go with my heart here and follow your lead. At first, I was going to pick MJF, honestly, but your plan was so good that I have worked myself into a shoot believing it could happen. And this may all turn out not terrible, because, like I said, we're going to be doing the best and worst of awards in a week or two. And we may be talking about the storyline a bit when we get to the worst of awards. But I will go with Joe to win as well. And hopefully all that you said comes true there. But overall, any last thoughts on World's End? What's your hype level for the show? Go again.
I would say like 7.5. Like, even though I don't like the Devil stuff, I can't lie and say I'm not intrigued to see what happens.
No, there's a lot of good stuff on this show.
Mostly from the perspective of just like, I need to see how this sort of culminates, right? It's like, I don't care about Retribution, but I want to know who the fucking members are at this point, right? But there's a lot of great stuff on this show. I think that the matches, we're spoiled with a couple of really great singles matches that have had, that haven't been, very focused on TV because of two of the participants being in the tournament, but those should be absolute bangers. Tournament finals, 2 women's matches with some great, actually weeks-long buildup. And then, Christian and Copeland just hamming it the fuck up. I'm pretty excited for it, so I'm excited to chat about it. What about you?
I feel the same way. I am super hyped for the finals of the tournament. I've loved covering it on this show with you the whole way. Hopefully the listeners did as well. I had as much fun as we did. And I'm so excited for that. And like you said, the main event angle, whatever they're going to do, the worst thing to me would be that what they did last time, where there's no mention of the Devil whatsoever. Like, and MJF just wins somehow, beats Joe with one leg, and then we just don't know anything about the Devil or anything like that. No conclusions are come, because I thought that was one of the big flaws of the Jay White match, was that they teased so much with the Devil to leave us hanging that way felt very cheap and not well done. So hopefully they do something. And I'm somewhat intrigued. It's such a train wreck that I need to see how this is all going to come to a head. I agree with your way of saying it as well. So
what if the devil walks out? MJF has Joe pinned, right? MJF gets up. The devil has a mic. And then he looks at Max and you just hear 5 more minutes. Are you going to break into tears?
I will. I think that would touch my soul. 5 more minutes. I mean, oh my God.
I'm sorry. I love you.
Okay. What if the devil walks out and suddenly he stands there, he pulls the mask off and immediately music hits and we hear Don Callis is the devil.
Dude, I'm trying to think, would I be more bummed if Don Callis was the devil or Matt Hardy? Like, who's the worst person that could be the devil? Like, the devil's walking down, and then one of the henchmen's just Jeff doing his fucking dance to like
the strut.
Dude, I don't know. It's like we make fun of this a lot. It's gonna be it like you said. It's an absolute train wreck. I'm excited to see how it ends. Hopefully. It's time. It's fucking time.
It definitely is. Hopefully we close out 2023 with a bang. We definitely will on Wrestle Update, and hopefully AEW follows along as well. And as always, thank you so much for coming on, doing the show, hanging out. We talked a lot about everything. Gave as full of a preview as we possibly could have for World's End. And if you have any last words you want the people to hear, now is your time.
If you're a sicko and like death matches, I will be front row at the Circle 6 King of the Death Matches in LA this Saturday. If you're going to be there, say hello. If we have any listeners that are going to Circle 6 on Saturday, hit me up. I will be there. Check it out on Fight. I'll be front row. I'm super excited. This is a crazy weekend for pro wrestling. So many year-end shows we have in Japan, Kento and Nakajima. In the U.S., you have Nick Gage versus Jun Kasai. New Year's Eve, you have the Nick Gage Invitational the same night as the King of the Death matches. You have ICW during their two-night big tournament in honor of the late referee SPO. Rest in peace. All the love to SPO.
Rest in peace, brother.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure the tournament's literally called Battle of the Tough Guys. It's very fun. It's it's like a New Japan Cup, but no DQ matches, not death matches typically. So for the US deathmatch fans, huge weekend just in general. I'm hyped as hell. I can't wait to talk all about it come Monday. So thank you as always, dude. Like this has been a highlight for me this year. It was on my bucket list and New Year's resolutions to really try and integrate more within the wrestling community, and a podcast was a big dream. So to have been invited by you on here as a guest, to now co-hosting with you, and just not only getting to do this with you, but getting to chat off air when we get to catch up and just talk about life and what's going on and everything. Like, it's been such a highlight for me this year, and just a much needed new and just friendship that I really cherish. So thank you so much for everything.
No, I 100% reciprocate those feelings. You were really the MVP, in my opinion, this year, because when you came along, things were shaky, and through no fault of yours or anybody's or mine, I like to think anyway. The ground was really shaky. I was trying to formulate stuff and move forward in the best way I could for Wrestle Update. And then you came in, and it was a hand in glove fit immediately. Like, literally the first show you were on. The only thing that I was worried about is the time, and you have really made it work for the show and for me as well. And I totally agree. I love it because we had already known each other for a long time, but peripherally, obviously you listening to my other show, Eastern Lariat and stuff, and the stuff we worked on with your college thing as well. Together. So we had a decent history, always friendly, but now we have a real relationship with each other, thanks to the show. And I'm very, very thankful to that we do get that time spent. And you have, and I'm being 100% dead serious when I say this, you have made my year and my whole life a lot better by your appearance in it and the situations that we found ourselves in and the relationship that we've helped to build through the show. And it's thanks to the podcast that we got that chance, and I'm so thankful for it. And I'm just, like I said, these are some of the most fun I've had in a long time recording anything, because everybody knows I do a lot of shows. But the shows me and you do is always such a great time. And we just vibe so well as people, and I'm so proud of that, because I think you're just a great person in general, and I'm so happy to have you on. And like I said, everybody knew when you came on. The fans reacted right away, the listeners reacted right away, and I knew it myself as well. And I think we've only scratched the surface of things on this show, and hopefully just in life as well. I think we have a lot of story left to tell between us, and a lot of coverage to have, and a lot of fun to be had on this show as well. And it's really changed the show into the fun-loving show that I think it should be at the end, and I'm very thankful for that. Shout out to Big Kev. He called us his favorite new duo of 2023 on Twitter.
Shout out Big Kev. That.
Yeah, we got to show some love right now. I really appreciated that. All the listeners, I had a couple people show us that we were in their top 5 on Spotify for podcasts as well. That was really cool as well. Shout out to Big Ed for that as well. Really got a lot of love for all the people out there. So hopefully keep your eyes open and your eyes peeled and your ears open, because we got a lot of cool shit coming in the first part of 2024 as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, just always keep yourself safe and happy. I hope everybody had a great Christmas, lots of cool stuff. And we will be back. We probably won't be back until just after the new year, and I mean very soon into the new year. But we will be back very soon. So if we're not back by then, I hope everybody has a great New Year's celebration. Lots of fireworks. Get some good food again. There's never too many holidays. You can use an excuse to get good food wherever you are at. Thank you guys so much for tuning in all of the year through all of our episodes that we've done. And as always, you know I love you. And until next time, this has been your Wrestle Update.